We all think that to get ahead in life, you need a head start, right? But what if that's completely wrong? What if the greatest advantages actually come from having none at all? Well, today we're going to dive into a pretty wild idea about what really drives progress.
Okay, so let me ask you this. What do you think is the real secret to building a massive fortune? Is it, going to a fancy school, having rich parents, just getting a lucky break? Well, the answer, when you look at the data, it's probably not what you think.
So where are we getting this from? Well, it all starts with this really interesting survey that was published in the Times of India. They basically took a magnifying glass to the 100 wealthiest people on the entire planet to see, where did they come from? And what they found, it might just blow your mind. All right, get ready for this. This is the first big shocker from that survey. A whopping 73% of the world's 100 richest people are self-made. I mean, just think about that. Nearly 3 out of every 4 of them didn't get their fortune handed to them. They built it themselves, a lot of them starting with nothing.
But wait, it gets even crazier. Check this out. Of all those self-made billionaires, more than a third of them, 36%, actually grew up in poor families. So we're not just talking about not having a head start. We're talking about starting way, way behind the starting line.
Okay, so this just completely flips the script on what we all thought was true, right? If being born with a silver spoon isn't the key, then what in the world is? And that question brings us face to face with what you could call the myth of the head start. That idea we all have that to do well, you need everything to go your way. But as we're seeing, the numbers just don't back that up. Basically, the myth is this simple. We think success comes from all these external things lining up perfectly. Getting into the right schools, knowing the right people, having a nice, comfortable life. But like we just saw with those billionaires, that's obviously not the whole story. Not even close. So if having all the advantages isn't the answer, then what is? Well, the argument we're digging into today it's pretty out there. It says the real engine for success is the complete opposite of advantage. It's something called the power of deprivation.
Okay, and this part is absolutely crucial to understand. Deprivation in this sense isn't just about not having something. It's not just a big empty hole. Think of it like a coin with 2 sides. Yeah, on one side there's that lack, but on the other side, that's where you find this incredible strength, this powerful drive to go out and fix that lack.
So, that feeling of not having enough, it's not a weakness. It's actually the spark that lights the whole fire. There's a great quote about this. A feeling of being deprived creates within him a strong motivation for making efforts. It basically becomes your rocket fuel. So, why? Why does this work? Why is starting from behind such a powerful motivator? Well, when you look at the psychology of it, it boils down to a simple idea. Comfort makes us lazy. It breeds complacency. Just look at how these two things stack up against each other. When you're in a comfortable spot with favorable conditions, it's just so easy to get complacent, to kind of sit back and not do much. I mean, why would you push yourself if everything's already good? But when things are unfavorable, that creates discontent, a kind of itch you have to scratch. And that feeling gives you this massive incentive to get up and do something, to change things, to fight for something better. So, when you really get down to it, the conclusion is pretty clear. The most important thing for success isn't what's going on around you, it's the fire you have inside you. Okay, so what does this mean for you? And me, it's all about changing how you see your own story. It's about learning to look at what you think is a negative, a minus, and seeing it not as a wall, but as your own personal jetpack. This actually follows a pretty natural process, almost like a law of nature. You can break it down into 4 simple steps. First, it all begins with that sense of lack, that feeling that something is missing. Then, that feeling sparks this deep inner urge, this drive. And that urge is what pushes you to start making a real active effort. You keep going, you keep pushing, until you finally reach your goal. See? It's a natural chain reaction, all started by that feeling of deprivation. So, if there's one thing you walk away with today, let it be this. You have to stop looking at your so-called disadvantages as weaknesses, because they might just be the most powerful weapon you've got. That thing you always wished you had, or that struggle you wish would just go away, that could be the very thing that powers your greatest achievements. So, I want to leave you with a question, something to really think about. What disadvantage in your life could actually be your secret advantage? What is that thing that could be the hidden engine for your progress?